Zora Neale Hurston, a literary biography. Zora Neale Hurston, a literary biography, was authored by Robert E. Hemenway. It was initially published in 1977. Alice Walker writes the preface to this biography. The book aims to celebrate Hurston's life and her immense impact on the American literary scene. As an accomplished writer, folklorist, anthropologist, and a proud daughter of the American South, the Jazz Age, and the Harlem Renaissance, Hurston lived life to the fullest. Her experiences, which ranged from remarkable successes to heartbreaking lows, inspired her work. In the foreword by Alice Walker, Hurston's influence and bravery are celebrated. She lived her life on her own terms, challenging the conventions of an era that marginalized African American women. Despite criticisms of her writing style and fashion choices, Hurston's novels were grounded in Black folk life and featured well-rounded, empowered characters of color. Alice Walker likens Hurston to Billie Holiday and Bessie Smith and describes her as a singer rather than a writer. Hurston's unique voice was filled with both pain and triumph, and her work was infused with the music of Black history, culture, and community. The book begins with Hurston's arrival in New York City in 1925. Despite being 35 years old and nearly penniless, she was optimistic about her future. Hurston had recently left Washington, D.C., where she had attended Howard University, to continue her studies at Barnard College in New York. She was the only Black student in attendance and ultimately received a BA in anthropology in 1928. While pursuing her studies at Barnard College, Hurston becomes acquainted with Franz Boas, a prominent anthropologist who eventually becomes her mentor. Under his guidance, Hurston completes graduate work and is continually challenged to expand her knowledge and skills. During this time, Hurston also develops a significant relationship with Charlotte Osgood Mason, a philanthropist and socialite who supported many young writers of the day, including Elaine Locke and Langston Hughes. As Hurston begins writing novels, Mason provides her with the financial resources to conduct research trips to the South and pursue her literary ambitions without fear of financial instability. Hurston shares her extensive knowledge of Black folklore and culture with Mason, along with her observations from her travels. Hurston's friendship with Hughes is tumultuous, marked by intense creative energy that both fuels and fractures their relationship. The two writers inevitably influence each other's work. Their collaboration on the 1930 play Mule Bone, a comedy of Negro life in 3 acts, is particularly contentious, ultimately leading to the deterioration of their friendship. Hurston enters into 2 marriages in her lifetime. Her first marriage is to Herbert Sheen, a former professor at Howard University and jazz musician, in 1927. However, the marriage comes to an end after just 4 years. In 1939, Hurston marries Albert Price in Florida, but they separate after only a few months, although they do not legally divorce until 1943. These relationships, along with numerous other love affairs, undoubtedly influence the male characters she creates in her novels. In 1948, Hurston becomes embroiled in a scandal that leads to her arrest on charges of immorality. Billy Allen, the son of Hurston's former landlady, accuses her of molesting him and 2 other boys. Hurston, who was living in Honduras at the time the alleged incidents occurred, seeks to prove her innocence and clear her name. Her editor, Burroughs Mitchell, provides bail for her release from jail, although the case is handled by juvenile courts and does not receive publicity. An employee of the courts leaks the story to 2 Black newspapers, which publish false and scandalous stories about Hurston and the allegations against her. Despite the fact that Billy Allen has mental health issues and the DA's office drops the charges against her the following year, Hurston is left feeling betrayed by her community, which did not support her during her time of need and instead spread lies and gossip. The experience is devastating for her. Despite the devastating events that led her to leave Harlem and settle in Florida, Zora Neale Hurston persevered and continued to write throughout her life. In fact, she published more than any other black female writer in history, producing a body of work that includes some of the most outstanding novels, short stories, and essays of her time. Among her notable works are Their Eyes Were Watching God, Seraph on the Suwannee, and Dust Tracks on a Road, her only memoir, which reflects her unique experiences, perspectives, and voice. Despite her remarkable literary accomplishments, Hurston lived in poverty during her final years, even working as a maid at one point. Nevertheless, her literary legacy endures as a testament to her exceptional talent and her commitment to telling stories in her own inimitable way. As she wrote in Dust Tracks on a Road, "What all my work shall be, I don't know that either. Every hour being a stranger to you until you live it." Hurston's enduring impact on American literature demonstrates the enduring power of her voice and her unwavering dedication to her craft.